Louis Riddick of the Mothership. He's a ESPN NFL and college football analyst and worked in the front office of the Commanders and the Eagles, former NFL safety. Good to see you again. Let me start with Washington with Terry McLaurin. He's requested a trade. Now, if you were working in the front office with the Commanders, how would you read when that's it's not a demand, a request? What's that mean to you?
And it's basically the same thing to me, especially, in the context of, what he's saying is if you're not going to meet, if we're not going to be able to kind of like come to some kind of agreement here in terms of a pay raise for me, given that I'm entering into the last year of my contract, then just trade me. If we're really this far apart as far as how we see my value going forward, then go ahead and trade me. Which they're saying, look, that's ridiculous. We're not going to do that. They're thinking, look, we still hold the cards. We could wind up, making him play out this year at the current salary, franchise him for 2026, and then let him be a free agent after that. There's a lot of things that they can do that they can do that really require them not doing anything at all, which is just sitting there. And he knows that. And then really the only recourse that you have as a player, Dan, as you know, is like the only thing recourse you have is to withhold services. So or ask to be moved somewhere else. And whether he's saying, look, I'm requesting a trade, demanding a trade, obviously he's ticked off because him and his agent, Buddy Baker, obviously see his value going forward as much different. And objectively, based upon how he played last year, they have an argument.
Okay, but let's look at what is reasonable for it. Let's say you ran the Commanders.
Yeah.
You want to re-sign him.
Mm-hmm.
He's better than Brandon Ayuk, who's getting 30, but he's not Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson. He's not CeeDee Lamb.
Mm-hmm.
So where's the landing spot there?
I think you just said the magic number, and I've been saying this on TV. I said it on social media last night. I think 30 million is the magic number for me. That I think if I was Adam Peters, I would be saying, okay, look, this is where this needs to be realistically. Now, if he's thinking I need to be up here at 33, 34, then obviously I'm going, well, we probably can't get there. And we know that the sweet spot in any negotiation, in any ultimate deal, is where you're not happy with exactly where you got to, but you're not dying over it either. And that goes for both sides of the equation, both management and the player. And I think that's the area where I would be like saying, look, if we're here, then okay, I'm good with this. I'm good with this. And that's me trying to like remove the emotion of how I feel about Terry McLaurin, the person and the player, out of it. Okay, because there's no doubt that what he has done in the past, he has earned it. He has earned, look, he's earned every penny that he has made to this point. And I think if you were just going to factor in what he has meant to this organization, you could probably make an argument for it being even higher in the 31, 32 area. You know, when we're just taking into account the entire player. But from a strictly business sense, I'd be comfortable with 30 million per year. It sounds like, from what I've heard, that maybe they may be looking for an average that's even higher than that, that puts him into that stratospheric level, which I would be a little bit wary of doing as well.
But do front offices pay you on what you've done or what they think you'll
Well,
do? Because Trey Hendrickson did everything, outperformed TJ Watt the last 2 years.
yep,
Terry McLaurin, he produced last year. But it
yep,
feels like, yeah, but you're 30 years of age. Now, what are you? We're not paying you on what you did. We're
that's
paying
right.
you on what we think you can do.
I say this all the time. Look, contracts are about future performance projection. I say that like almost annoyingly so on TV all the time. And I'm with you. Look, but I also am someone who doesn't believe that 30 years old all of a sudden is some kind of big giant boogeyman that people constantly lean on to say, oh, but he's going to be 30. Like, okay, well, if I really want to get technical, Terry's not going to be 30 until the middle of September. So what does that mean for the just I know people use that as this line of demarcation to say, well, now the tide has turned. Now it's nothing but downhill for this player. And that's not true. It's just not true. I think you have to take every one of these cases case by case, understand what his history has been as far as his availability, his durability, his training habits, his personal life, all of that, and make a reasonable projection going forward about, okay, do we think we can get the ROI, the return on investment that we're looking for? And I think with Terry, everything that I've heard is that he's not someone I would bet against. I wouldn't be trying to negotiate against what he has done in the past because he has shown that he is an ultimate professional. And yeah, you know what? There are also people who make arguments for players based on what they've done in the past, almost as if players deserve some things, a premium above and beyond what you rationally think he may have earned going forward, simply because of how good of a pro he has been on and off the field. And Terry probably falls into that category. What's interesting about this situation, man, is that there are people who are really split on this. They really are. People are like, hey, Washington, Adam Peters should make his stand and Terry should just play out the deal because he is going to be 30 and he's not a great separator. He's not DK Metcalf. He's not Justin Jefferson. And then there's people who go, have you looked at the objective data on this guy? Have you looked at the effect on the QBR and the quarterback rating of Jaden Daniels when they're targeting him? Have you looked at he was top three in the league in touchdown receptions last year? Have you looked at the number of first downs he produced last year, which was up there with the elite players in the league? Have you looked at how strong he is at the catch point, the number of contested catches he made, and the time and the number of first downs he produced? Well, why wouldn't you project that that's going to get better this year as Jaden gets better, the run game gets better? They're in year two of this program. I would be comfortable projecting his production to stay right where it is, if not improving, based on all those factors. But we have this tendency to want to say, well, he's 30 years old.
Yeah.
Nah, there's no way he can get better. It's like saying the same thing about quarterbacks that the year two jinxes is coming and that Jaden won't get better. I think everything is trending the right way in Washington. I hope they're able to land somewhere in that low 30 range or maybe right around 30 and Terry can get in there. Because this could be very, very, very disruptive to this offense if it's one of these things that gets extended into the regular season.
Talking to Louis Riddick of the Mothership, would you rather pay DK Metcalf or Terry McLaurin?
It's a great question. I would probably at this point I would rather pay Terry simply because of the person and the player and how much I trust the player and how much I know that the effect that he has on the football team from a just from a cultural standpoint. And I know this going back to his days at Ohio State. I loved this dude when he came out, and he was someone who was kind of like severely overlooked. And I think he's still being overlooked and a little bit disrespected now. But see, what people fall in love with is the fact that, look, DK is huge. He's an absolute freak. He's fast. He has a flair for the dramatic. I just want the steady, consistent producer that if you ramped up McLaurin's targets to the degree, like say, like a Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson had, you'd see the kind of production that you just couldn't deny. But there's this aesthetic, part of this thing where you sit there and go, but he's not 6'4" and he's not 215 and he doesn't run 4.2. Well, get off of that and just look at the game and watch him play and what he means to Jaden Daniels. I think that's all you need to see.
What do you look for in a preseason game?
Yeah, I'm a little bit of a geek, man. I love watching all the second and third round players. You know what I like seeing? I mean, second and third, second, third, fourth, fifth round guys who are really just fighting to kind of make a team. What I look for the uncovered gems. I look for execution amongst the guys who are going to be on the football team, regardless of the level of competition they're playing against.
Okay, but what did you see from Trey Lance last night?
Exactly. That's my point. That's just what I was going to get to. It's about execution for Trey. It's about the comfort level for Trey. It's about the timing that he played with, the accuracy that he played with, the fact that he played with his shoulders back and he was kind of had his head up and he was feeling good. He never has looked like that. He's never looked like that in his career. I don't care if it was against the Lions in Canton at a Hall of Fame game. Jim Harbaugh is having some kind of effect on this young man, and he has finally hit his stride after being so green coming out of college with such little play time. He's finally hit his stride, and I think we know this, and you know this for sure, man. We have seen in the recent past how much quarterback development is not a set thing in terms of its timing. You have to be willing to be more patient now than I think you've ever been, simply because the variance between organizations and programs is so great. You just don't know. You just don't know how guys are going to gel from one place to the next. I know it's only one game, but I'll tell you what, in all my time of watching Trey Lance, and I was a huge supporter of Trey Lance, and I felt like, man, did I really just blow that and get that wrong? I saw something last night I've never seen before. I'm hoping he can continue it and he sticks there and eventually he gets his shot.
But I don't think we're patient at all. I think we're less patient because it used to be you could be a number one pick and sit for a couple of years.
Sure.
I mean, it doesn't happen like that. It's, hey, did you see what C.J. Stroud did his rookie year? Hey, did you see what Jaden Daniels did his rookie year? Drake May. Why can't all these quarterbacks be the same?
You're right.
I mean, it's quick. We get you in, into the washing machine, and then all of a sudden you come out. How do you smell? If not,
Right.
we're going to put you back in, and we'll move on. It
Yeah.
doesn't take long for these teams to go. We tried you for a year or 2 years. Now we're going to go try to find our quarterback again.
Yeah. Ironically, Chris Ballard was just talking about this in regards to Anthony Richardson, about the fact that he has seen, and he knows it, and I know GMs are talking about it. He's seen, recently when you're looking at guys like Baker Mayfield and how it took a little bit, for him to kind of finally hit his stride, Sam Darnold, and the kind of year that he had last year, he has seen that, hey, look, maybe we need to rethink the amount of time that we give these guys, regardless of where we drafted them and what our initial expectations are, because everyone's just different. The problem is, look, owners are impatient, fans are impatient. We're just living in an impatient world where we just want instant gratification right now. Hell, we have rookie quarterbacks in camp right now who, after 1 week, they have a one bad period, and we're going bust. Get him out of there. Get the next guy in there. I mean, and we know. Look, we've just seen cases where guys finally found their right fit, and then they finally take off. Geno Smith, another one, but we don't care. We don't care about that. We're like, I don't care. I don't want to wait that long. Either this guy shows me right away out the gate, or we're moving on to the next guy. It's an interesting case study, but I think with Trey Lance, he's probably going to be the next one that it'll be interesting to see if he can continue on with this kind of momentum and whether or not he ultimately gets a shot to play somewhere else and actually play a lot of football, because in LA he ain't playing ahead of Justin Herbert.
Well, he's
So
only 25. I
exactly,
mean, that
exactly.
guys don't even really come into their prime. And now
Yeah,
because they're coming in young, Anthony Richardson, 20 years of age.
yeah,
I mean, you either know I think you either know right away that somebody can or can't play. I think you can
yeah.
see how they prepare, work ethic, leadership. I mean, all of that stuff. But I still go back to Trey Lance and I go, not enough sample size with
Yep,
games. So he gave me
yep.
one miracle season at North Dakota State. I need
Hmm.
more. It's like Zach Wilson. I need
Hmm.
I need more because Bo Nix gave me 50. Jaden Daniels gave me 60 starts in college football.
Yeah, yeah,
Now I know what I have. At least I have a better understanding of what
yeah.
I have. Mitchell Trubisky was really one good year in college.
Yeah,
Those guys scare me. Anthony Richardson wasn't even a starter, consistent starter. He showed
yeah,
flashes, but it wasn't enough for me to go, he's a top five pick.
yeah. And that's the balance in the internal, both individually and organizationally, fight that every team has every year when you're talking about players who are supremely gifted, who may not have the resume that you're talking about, versus players who have great production, a long history or a much longer history of production, but they may not be as gifted. Which way do they lean? And a lot of times, because of, I mean, let's just be honest, because of let's say, the ego of people in the NFL, and we all have it, they believe, you know what, I can make this guy into exactly what I want him, because just look at these traits. Damn, you got to have these traits. I don't want this guy who's a little bit lesser of an athlete, a little bit lesser of a player, who may be topped out. They always talk about, you always have these conversations about what is ultimately the ceiling of this player. This guy's ceiling so much higher, and with our great genius coaching and development, we're going to get it out of him. We're going to develop the next Hall of Famer. And that's the risk that you take. Like with Anthony in particular, look, everybody in Indianapolis knows, and he knows himself, that the biggest thing holding Anthony Richardson back was Anthony Richardson. And it was the thing, and I wanted to jump in and say this while you were talking, but I didn't want to interrupt you. But the biggest thing with him is the maturity factor, the football character factor, the commitment factor, about it being constant and consistent and constantly trending the way it needs to. Because if he can get that, and he is fighting an uphill battle now, especially what happened with him down in Houston. He's fighting that that image is burned into some people's brains for eternity. And no matter what he does, they're never going to feel as though he has what it takes to be a franchise quarterback. But that's what he's fighting now. Because from an athletic standpoint and a trait standpoint, you've already seen him in Indianapolis make throws that nobody can make in the league. That's that battle all the time. And with Bo Nix, how many people killed Bo Nix coming out in the draft last year and said, Sean Payton doesn't know what he's doing. What's he doing? This guy doesn't have any upside. He's got, and now Sean Payton's going,
Told you.
see?
Yeah.
See? So yeah, it's a fascinating thing that front offices go through every year.
I was thinking about this with the AFC West, that you got Andy Reid, Hall of Famer, Pete Carroll, maybe a Hall of Famer, borderline, Sean Payton, maybe Hall of Fame, Jim Harbaugh, Hall of Fame caliber coach with college and pro. And I was thinking, have we had a division that's had 4 Hall of Fame-like coaches at the same time? And I thought about the Giants with Parcells, Washington with Joe Gibbs. I don't know if they were all there at the same time. But let's say I had Jimmy Johnson, Bill Parcells, Dick Vermeil with the Eagles, and Joe Gibbs. I don't know if they were there at the same time, but those are 4 Hall of Fame coaches in the same division. I don't know if it was at the same time.
Yeah, it is. The West has really, for me, exploded onto the scene this year in particular because of what you're talking about. And there will be some absolute Kong versus Godzilla type battles all year long.
Well, how would you rank them? So Andy Reid is top.
Yeah.
Now, who's the second best coach in the AFC West?
Sean Payton.
Who's third?
Oh, wow. Look, I would say it's Pete because of what Pete has done in the NFL already. And then Jim. And look, there are people who will debate that bottom 3 guys or the next 3 after Andy and probably put them in all kinds of different order. But in my experience, look, Sean Payton, in my experience, is kind of like underrated in many respects. He's not constantly in the discussion as far as when we're talking about offensive geniuses, just good team builders, good coaches who are great at utilizing players and understanding their strengths and weaknesses. But he's one of the best I've ever seen do it.
But is he in the category with Tomlin and John Harbaugh, who both won a Super Bowl, and so does Sean Payton?
Absolutely. He's absolutely in that category.
Okay.
And I've had the fortune, the good fortune of being able to spend a lot of time talking to both of those guys and talking to Sean Payton. You sit and talk to Sean Payton about football, it is a tutorial. You will fill up notebooks. You'll want to write down every single thing that he says. And you can't argue with the way in which he has built teams in conjunction with the GMs he's worked with over the years and what he's doing in Denver. Denver's going to be right there. Denver's going to give Kansas City every single thing they can handle this year. Everything. They have a championship caliber defense, a championship caliber offensive line. It's going to be whether the quarterback can take another big jump. They've got backs, they've got wide receivers, and they've got a coaching staff. They're going to be for real.
In 2 weeks, I'll have you back and you give me your Super Bowl pick.
Deal. I'll give it to you.
Thank you, man. Have a good weekend. That's Louis Riddick of the Mothership. We'll take a break. Our play of the day is up next.